Nate, I don't know where we are, but this is the Forgotten City. That's right, we're at the Forgotten City. And this was something that kind of snuck up on me, but if I could explain it for a moment, just hang on because this gets quite complicated. You start off as a lonely man looking through a forest for some reason, and you come across this character Karen, and she kind of tells you about some things in the forest nearby. You go and take a look, and you discover a lot of these gold statues around, these people looking turned into gold. This is really weird. And you go back to Karen, and she says, "Oh, I have a friend that went across the river to a place that you're gonna want to go to for some reason. It'll get you to safety." So you say, "Okay, thank you." Jump into the river, but you don't quite make it to the other side. You awaken after that moment in a strange new land, and you come to and you realize that this is actually old architecture. There's a lot of other people there, but speaking to them you realize that they're all ancient Romans. It's quite a mix-up to get it started, but it seems that your issue is you want to go home. You're lost, and this isn't really your home. That's clear. But nobody on this city has found a way to leave the actual confines of the city. It seems to be walled off by some measure, or leaving seems to trigger the wrath of the gods, and that's not an understatement. There's actually a force that if any one person in this city commits sin, all of the people, the many, will suffer the results of the sin. And that means an angry god force possesses these gold statues, and they go on a killing spree, and everyone they kill turns into gold statues themselves. So you arrive at this place, and you know that to be true because there's gold statues of people everywhere, and it gets into such a thick mystery, but that's just the setup. And we're going to try and stay away from some spoilers here because it is a huge, heavily story-oriented game. But if you just want to explain, what was your first impression of this one jumping in?
Well, Scott, first impressions, this game is all about mystery. Like you said, right off the hop, once you're in this mysterious town, you're kind of just set out talking to about the 20 or so villagers, and each of them have a huge backstory. All of them don't really fully understand how they ended up there. And through talking to the characters, you uncover some sort of, I guess you could call them quests. Some of them need items, some of them just need you to talk to other people. There's a lot to this game, but it is a little slow for some people. I did fight sleep a couple times, but again, once you really unravel or uncover what the story is all about, it really does hook you. And the action, there is actually action in this game. It doesn't appear right away at the beginning, but you do eventually get a bow, and that really just kind of when the story opens up truly.
Yeah, that's one of the first meaningful roadblocks you kind of break through, is finding out how to get that bow, and then from there you have a lot more agency as to what you want to do, and you can kind of put off certain scenarios because you're the only person armed in the entire city. There's a lot of interesting interwoven storylines between the different people, and you kind of find out that some of them don't trust each other. Everybody's worried because this golden rule, the golden law of the one person can ruin it for everybody. It's just something that keeps everybody on edge, understandably. So you're doing a lot of quests to kind of solve those worries for a lot of people, and your overall quest is to get home, of course. Now there's one man in the city actually that when it comes to the laws being broken, if somebody does commit that sin, he will run to an altar and open a portal. Now this portal, this ancient magic, you can actually use, and you walk through the portal, it resets the whole day, and you just appear back as you entered the city. And that's the big loop. You can find out all these things about people and kind of keep that knowledge, and items in some cases, to bring into the conversation the second time around. And now you can tell people you understand that they're lying because you have evidence, and I have this letter from you. You said this, and they're just mind blown because how is that even possible? There's a lot of really funny reactions you get out of characters, and sometimes you can insinuate that they're going to do a law, or that they break a law rather, and they just do not handle that well. There's a lot of different personalities, and as for the overall mystery of this game, I understand exactly what you mean about the pacing. It is quite slow at the beginning because you're brand new and you haven't really learned what's going on and who these people are. But just like when you get the bow, there are several kind of realization points.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where the game really opens up, because you realize, like, wait, I can do basically whatever I want as long as I don't trigger the golden wrath, we'll call it. But eventually you might want to do that too. And if you want to get out of this world, you have to solve the mystery of who will commit the sin. You and the man who sets the portal work to avert that disaster, and therefore he does not make the portal. And that is the same portal that brought you here in the original instance, so you would, in that instance, not be in the city. It creates a paradox where you never entered the city to begin with, therefore you're free. Now, that's something, if you are creative, you can find your shortcuts. I'll say that much. You can avert that portal fairly easily. But that also brings me into the point that I want to make. There is 4 different endings to this game. So based on your completion, your affinity with certain characters over others, maybe you just become a catalyst of a disaster. It's all up to you to form based on your experiences in this game. And I think that's really, really intelligently written.
Yeah, man, the writing in this game is honestly like just some of the best I've seen this year, absolutely. And with the 4 different endings, it just adds so much, honestly, replayability, I guess you could say. So, Scott, I think we're about ready to wrap this one up, dude. This is a really solid experience. And, you know, graphically, we're playing this on the Series X. It looks really good. I only had maybe a couple times where light was popping through stone walls, but that's so minor. The whole scope of the city and everything is magnificent, and once you kind of get through that first start of the game, and you know, once you fully understand what you're doing, it's a wicked experience.
Yes, I agree with you on basically all of that. It is a very deep game to get into, but there is a pacing issue at the beginning. I would like to explain it as it's a tough egg to crack, but once you get beyond the shell, there's a huge amount of stuff that it's really hard to explain without just giving away the storyline. It's really something you have to express for yourself and kind of find your way through this story. It's so deep. And the voice acting and the audio in general, I have to touch on that. It seemed extremely well done. The voice actors use different accents, sometimes they use Latin words, and the soundtrack behind your kind of just mysterious prowling around the city, it all matches the ambience very well. I enjoy it. And when the sin happens and the wrath comes upon you, the sound changes again and matches that really well. The game looks pretty good. We're on Series X, so I would expect that, but like you say, there are some glitches, a couple bugs. Hopefully things that'll be solved in day 1 patches. It is worth noting we have this just slightly ahead of release, so some of that is to be expected, but that didn't hurt my score. I completely got hooked by this game. I'm in there with an 8.
Awesome.
The Forgotten City is a deep mystery and a lot of interwoven quests. It does have slow pacing, but a very well told story.